Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be my update to my Project Pan. So this is my completionist project. I have pretty much a full face of products here that I'm trying to use up until they're finished. This is a rolling style project pan, so I don't restart at the end of the year or anything like that. It keeps going until they're done. So I'm going to be including progress pictures in today's video, talking about how many uses I've done. So if all of that sounds good to you, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. I would love it if you stuck around, but with all that, let's just get into these products. All right, so if you saw last update, you would know that I had a really good update. I rolled out like 5 products. So a lot of these only have 1 month of use, but that's okay. You got to start somewhere. I don't decide when things are done and when they're not. I just use them naturally until they're finished and come and report to you. So I'm going to scoot over just a little bit so I can fit my photos in for you. I like to go in order of application. It just makes the most sense to me, instead of like what's been in the project the longest. Just that way I don't leave anything out. So we're just gonna jump right in and start with my primer. This is the Elemis Superfood, I don't wanna tip it over, Glow Priming Moisturizer. You would think I know the name by now. I rolled this in November of 2024. I used it 17 times this last month for a total of 145 times since rolling it into this project. I just realized today, sitting down, writing all my numbers down, that this has been in the project for almost a year. That's crazy to me. I mean, this is 2 fluid ounces, so maybe I should have known better, but a lot of the times primers in the past have lasted me around 6 months, so I'm surprised at how long this has lasted me. If I loved this product, I would consider repurchasing it, but I don't love a glowy primer. You've probably heard me say that by now for at least the last 12 months, and I'm just trying to get it out of my collection. I started, it was, turned the right way, and it was practically full, and then these are kind of my line markings throughout the time, not every month because there's only 3 markings, just when I could see progress. But now I'm like down to here. It's starting to sputter just a little bit. So I think that maybe I have 1 or 2 months with this, and then I can finally roll in another primer. In the past year, I've maybe grown to appreciate it a little bit more. I don't love it a ton. For me, the main thing is just that a moisturizing primer just seems like a supplemental step for no reason. I'm already using a moisturizer and it just feels like I'm using another moisturizer. I don't have super, super dry skin where this would maybe benefit me. So that's why, to me, I'm just trying to get all the moisturizing primers out of my collection. But happy that this should be a rollout at least by the end of the year. Then we get into concealer. I have 2 concealers, but we're first going to talk about my Nars Soft Matte Concealer. This is the product that's been in the project the absolute longest. It was in my introduction to Project Pan in September of 2022. So this will give you bang for your buck, let me just tell you. I used this 18 times in the past month for a total of 408 uses since tracking. Now, because this was a product that I rolled in at the intro, I wasn't tracking my uses for the first year, so this does have a year of untracked uses on it. I'd just like to give that disclaimer, but I feel like we're starting to really finally see progress on it. Here is what it's looking like. There's a good pan in there, and now I'm kind of just trying to wear away the sides. You should hopefully be seeing all of my progress photos, or, I might have skipped some months. I try not to do every single month because a photo since September 2022, it's a lot of photos. So, hopefully you can see some good progress in there. I can see progress. I can finally see that we're coming to the end of this, but, quite honestly, at least 6 more months with this. At least 6 more months. I don't use a ton. I don't spot conceal that much. To be honest, I'm really using this to maybe cover up some redness on my nose. And, if I get the occasional breakout, but I don't break out that often. So I'm not using this too much. And maybe that's why I feel like I'm getting a lot of product for my money because, consistently using this month over month for almost 3 years now is just crazy to me. Sad part is I have a backup of this. So the concealer remains. The next concealer I have is the one that I use actually as my under eye concealer, and I rolled this in the last month, so the last update, and I decided to pull in my Giorgio Armani Power Fabric Concealer. This is in the shade 3. I kind of just take the approach of rolling in my oldest concealer, so that way I can just start to roll them out. And when I rolled this in, I would have guesstimated it was probably around here. That's where I put my line marking when I put light up against it. When I put light up against it to kind of try and see where it's settled, that's where it's hitting. I don't think I made that much progress this month, enough to warrant another line. I used it 10 times in the past month, which is kind of my soft goal for any of my Project Pan items, is to use it at least 10 times in a month. So I have 10 total uses on this concealer, and I like this concealer a lot. I think it's a little bit light for me now. I definitely bought this when brightening concealers were all the rage, but formula-wise, this is a really, really nice one, and I'm happy that I get to kind of focus on this for the next however long it takes. Now we move on to foundation, which is a really, really exciting one for me. I rolled this in November of 2024, so also coming up on a year with this foundation. It is the Valentino. This is the Light Lasting Perfecting Foundation. I have the shade N4, LN4. I don't know, it's actually, the writing's coming off. So this is what it's looking like. This wasn't an old foundation in my collection relatively, but I loved it so much I wanted to focus on it, use it before it expired. So like I said, I rolled this in November of 2024. I used it 11 times this past month for a total of 98 times since rolling it into this project. Here's kind of my progress markings on this. And where'd my pen go? I think now we are at the tail end. I think next month this is going to be an empty. I'm guessing it's like right there. And you can see like my tape goes further than the packaging, but it's really tapered in. It's starting to sputter even a little bit. I will really try to get as much as I can out of here. Like I did kind of already scrape it, but I think it might be time to even take the pump off and just try to get what I can out of this. Love this foundation. I do think it's a little bit light for me. I am putting like a darkening powder we're going to go over in just a second on top, depending on the type of year. Like summer for sure, it's just too light, but it's a really nice foundation. One of my favorite luxury foundations that I have in my collection that I've tried, would definitely recommend to people if they're looking for just a good everyday medium coverage foundation that is luxury. This is the one that I talk about. So really love this. Glad I got to use it full until completion. It makes me very happy, and I'm starting to look at all my foundations and decide which one I want to pan next. And then like I kind of alluded, because the foundation's a little bit light, I've been putting powder on top of it. It is this powder here, the Lancome Absolute powder in Ecru Light. This was practically new. I used it a handful of times before rolling it in. I rolled it in February of 2025, so it really hasn't been in the project that long. I used it 12 times this past month for a total of 94 times since rolling it in, and I am very happy with the progress. Unfortunately, I can't put a line because I forgot my Sharpie, but here's where I started, and I would say I'm like right here. I tried to use a pen to mark it, but it's just not showing up. And like I said, I forgot my Sharpie, and I'm not at home, clearly, if you notice the background right now, so I can't mark it. But this is 10 grams of product, and it'll be my first, no, it won't be my first loose powder that I finish, because I have finished a Laura Mercier powder, but I never thought this was a product that would be completely emptied in my collection. I thought I would just eventually declutter it one day. So it's a really nice powder, really nice blurring, smoothing. You know, I'm kind of adding it to my routine. I wouldn't say it's part of my everyday normal routine if I was just picking and choosing what I would wear, but including it into my routine, I don't hate it. And I'm very happy with the progress. I'm very happy. Now, these next two products I have in my project, and They're not to finish. I'm just trying to hit pan on them. But once I do hit pan, I won't be bringing in any more products to hit pan on. Just that way I can actually say this is my completionist project pan. So the first one we're going to talk about is my blush. This is the Pat McGrath blush in Nude Venus. I rolled this in October of 2024, so a year. This update, wow. And I used it 18 times this past month for a total of 146 times since rolling it in. Here is what we are looking like. I mean, hopefully the pictures show some progress, but I feel like when I look at this day to day, I don't see that much progress until I'm putting up my photos. So it's a little bit, it's one of those products for sure that is a little bit discouraging, but it just takes me, I'm light-handed with my products. I don't know what to say. And I knew from the last blush that I pan, it took me 2 years just to hit a pan in it. So I knew what I was in for. It's a really pretty everyday blush. I'm wearing it today. I mean, I'm wearing most of these products today. When I do my updates, I always do, but everything that I'm wearing is listed in the description box below. Once I hit pan on this, I won't be rolling in another powder blush. So I'm just going to enjoy my time with it. It is what it is. I did recently switch brushes with this. I talked about this in my last update to a more stiffer, denser brush, and I feel like I'm starting to see progress because of that. Next up is my highlight. It is the Dior highlight in Holo Pink. This was a limited edition highlighter. I rolled this in February of 2025. So again, it hasn't been in the project that long, but it's showing more progress than the blush for sure. I used this 15 times in the past month for a total of 101 times since rolling it in. And here's what it's looking like. Now, I have gotten comments for the past couple of months that it looks like I've hit pan, but trust me, I have not. For some reason, I was able to get to this waffle imprint fairly quickly, but I have not hit pan on it. I have not. I mean, I'm focusing my brush there. It is what it is. Every update, I think I'm going to hit pan finally and get through the waffle, but for some reason, I mean, I guess the waffle's just really raised up or something. I don't know, but I'm not forcing it. I'm not trying to get to it any faster because once I hit pan on this, I'm going to roll it out and not roll in another highlight. So I'm fine that it's taking a little bit longer, but really it hasn't taken me that long. Like it hasn't even been a year yet. And like, I think we're close to pan. I just don't know how close. Other than that, really pretty highlight. Love it a lot. Now we're going to get into my cream products. I think for cream cheek products, that's what I want to just stick with for this project. That way I can actually complete it. The first one that I have, let me just move all these down because I'm now reaching out of frame for them. I clearly have limited space because I'm on the floor here trying to do my best. The cream product that I have that's been in here for a while is the Hourglass Sheer Illume Trio. I rolled this in October of 2023, so it's been in here for a while. And I used it 15 times this last month for a total of 261 times since rolling it in. Are you ready to see? Because we have good progress on this product. Here is what it's looking like. Now, if you compare it to last update, I still had a little bit of highlight. So I completely finished up the highlight here, and the bronzer has been done for quite some time. I now just have the blush, which is so exciting to me. I'm very happy to have that, and I even have like really good progress on the blush. I don't think it'll be done by next update, maybe like 3 more updates. I don't use that much. I do use it to underpaint, but I mean, considering what this started as, like it is just crazy to me to see how much is left of this. I am debating whether I want to keep this compact because normally I don't keep the products. I have a lot of satisfaction of chucking them in the trash and being actually done with them. I know some people keep a lot of their components to maybe franken or repress things. I'm kind of thinking this might be a good one for me to actually hang on to because there are 3 little compartments. I could kind of franken 3 different things if I was to do that. I don't really franken too often, but as my collection gets smaller and smaller, I might have to in order to make things work. I don't know. Just kind of something floating around in my head right now. Not an immediate problem whatsoever, but yeah, very happy with the progress on this. And, you know, I put the work in. I put the work in on this. Since the cream bronzer has been finished for a while, and last month I actually hit pan on my powder bronzer, which is why you're not seeing an update on it today, I decided to finally roll in a new cream bronzer, and I try to pick like a smaller, easier one so that way it would kind of match up with the blush here. So I have the Westman Atelier Mini in the shade Biscuit. I rolled this in October of 2025, so it's been 2 months since rolling this in. I used it 15 times this past month for a total of 25 times since rolling it in. And here are my progress lines on the cap. Hopefully it focuses enough, but there's where I started, there's where I was last month, and here's where I am this month. It's small, you know, like I said, I kind of try to give myself an easier product, but that's where we're at. It's still going to take me a while. Like, make no mistake, even though this is an easier product out of my cream bronzers, like it's still going to take me a minute, but here's what it looks like rolled all the way down. It's a really nice underpainting kind of contoury shade. Like it a lot. Would I purchase the full size? Like absolutely not, but it's nice enough. I'm looking forward to the time I'll get to spend with this product, and then it'll be done and we'll roll in a new chapter. Okay, now we kind of get to the little bits and bobs of this project. The first one being my setting spray. This is the Flower Beauty Seal the Deal Long Lasting Setting Spray. It's a matte finish. I don't love this. I rolled it in September 2025, so it's been a recent roll-in for me. I used it 18 times this past month for a total of 18 times, and here's where we're at. So I started here, and now I'm here. This mister is just weird. It's very, very fine, but it's almost too fine where I don't feel like any of it gets on my face. So I feel like I'm overusing this product. And in the future, I just won't repurchase a matte setting spray. It's not something that I need. My skin is pretty normal. It's not too oily where I need a oil controlling matte looking finish. So, you know, it's fine. I'm using it pretty quickly. I think I'll only have like 3 months max with this. I'm not going to overuse it just to get through it. I'm going to use it as normal, but I can tell that I'm using more than maybe I would with another spray because of the nozzle. I did ask in my last update if I should pour this into my older setting spray that I had finished when I rolled this in. And I know some of you guys said yes, but I don't know. I just didn't feel like keeping both products, to be honest. Like I talked about it in my empties. I'll link that video up above. And then I just wanted to throw away the packaging. Even though I liked that spray nozzle more, like I just didn't want to keep that packaging. I'd have to keep this packaging until it was done. So it just seemed like too much of a hassle, to be honest. I'll just continue to use it as is, and it's fine. Now we have my eyeliner. I also rolled this in last month. This is the Charlotte Tilbury. This came in like their Super Nudes collection. It's like a dual-ended eyeliner, obviously, with a nude and a brown. So I rolled this in last month. Where's my line here? And I used it 12 times in the past month for a total of 12 times since rolling it in. And I didn't bring my notebook to show you my progress lines. So let me go grab that. So here are my line markings for this. Now, when I say I used it 15 times, I do mean I used both sides, just so I can keep track. Here's where I started for the nude side. I didn't feel like I could make a nude line marking for this update, so the line stays the same. For the brown, I did make a new line, so it is going a little bit more quickly, but I believe that when I sharpened this, this broke. But I made a pretty good jump from September to October. If it breaks, it breaks. I can't really control that. It is an older eyeliner in my collection, which is why I decided to roll it in. And then I think after I finish this, I'll go back to a black to try to just get rid of some backup black eyeliners in my collection. But I really enjoy using this. It's a little bit stiff. I can just tell it's old, to be honest. And that's my bad for just keeping too many products in my collection. And I'm trying to rectify that. That's why I'm doing this project. So hopefully this will be out in less than a year, and I can roll in something else. Then we're going to go into my lip liner. This is the Kylie Cosmetics lip liner in Dolce K. I rolled this in July of 2024, so it's been a little bit over a year now that I've had this in. I mean, we're making progress on it. I used it 18 times in the past month for a total of 192 times since rolling it in. Here's what it's looking like. I don't know where this ends. I don't know if it's at the bottom or if it's more around here. We're going to find out together. It definitely could use a sharpen, but I like sharpening it the next time so that way I can have a better progress line in the next month. And here is my line markings for that. So you know, we've gone through over half of the pencil. Like, I feel like it's finally looking like it. I just thought that I was going to be done with this way much quicker than I actually am. When I see people pan lip liners, they tend to finish them a little bit sooner, but you know, we're all different. We all pan things differently. I am only using it like on my lip line to outline my lips. I'm not using it all over my lips. And I think I'm just a little bit of a slower panner than most people. So it is what it is. We'll eventually get through it. And then I will roll in another lip liner and continue to get through my collection of lip liners. A few more things to talk about. The next is my lipstick. So this is just a little mini. I rolled this in last month and I used it 7 times this last month for a total of 7 times since rolling it in. It is the Charlotte Tilbury Kissing lipstick in the shade JK Magic. Just trying to get the shade out of my collection. Very pretty shade. Hate the name. Unfortunately, and I didn't feel like I could make another line on it. This is my first actual bullet lipstick that I'm rolling into this project, which is why I went with a mini. I do at least feel, even though I couldn't make a new line marking, that I'm kind of flattening out the top and making it where it's going to be a lot easier for me to apply. Again, I'm wearing this today. I chose this also because it goes really well with the lip liner and I can kind of just always pair them together. But yeah, we're going to see how long it takes for me to pan a mini lipstick bullet, because that'll give me an idea of how long it would take me to pan a full size. And the amount of full size lipsticks I have in my collection is overwhelming, but I did recently do a lip declutter and I like the ones that are in my collection. I'll link the declutter up above if you want to watch it. I would like to get through them, but we'll see if I can get through them before they're expired. That's what we're doing. And hopefully, like, my ideal goal, I think, for lipstick would be less than 20 between like all types of finishes. I think that would be a much more manageable number. And then the very last thing that I have to update you on is my fragrance. This is the Valentino Voce Viva fragrance. I just had the 1 ounce size and I rolled this in June of 2025. It hasn't been the project that long. I used it 27 times this past month for a total of 69 times, and it is officially finished. So I have 1 rollout this month and we're going to be rolling in a new fragrance. Here are my progress lines for this. I started here. It was pretty much full, had a little bit of progress showing, and that's where we ended up. I really thought this was going to last me more than June, July, August, September, 4 months. I would have at least hoped I would have had it 6 months, but it does fade very quickly. And I saw the reviews on this and they also said that this is a fragrance that fades quickly. It is a little bit older in my collection. I have quite a few fragrances in my fragrance collection, so it makes sense that maybe it's a little bit just not as fresh and that I went through it a little bit faster. I'm going to be keeping this bottle because I like to keep the fragrance bottles. I enjoyed my time with it. It would be one that I would consider repurchasing and wearing once I got through some other fragrances in my collection, but I have way too many to even be thinking about repurchasing any fragrances anytime soon. So this one's done. Very happy about that. And now we get to roll in a new fragrance to replace it. So I decided, after going and looking through all my fragrances, I did consider picking a fragrance that was a little bit more full, that hasn't really gotten any love from me, but I also wanted it to kind of fit in with the season. Now that we're going into a little bit more of a fall season, winter season, it just made sense to go with something a little bit more musky, a little bit more tobacco-y. Just, you know, I wanted to fit the vibe still and not just focus on panning fragrance. So the one that fit the bill for that was the Dolce & Gabbana The Only One. You can see that I've used this fragrance actually a lot. I believe this is the full size. It's 3.3 fluid ounces. Yeah, 100 milliliters. And I've really enjoyed this fragrance. My husband actually bought me this when we lived in the Philippines, so he really likes it. It's just nice and spicy without being too much spice, because I do tend to like lighter florally fragrances. And if you're also like that, like me, like this is a good spice must kind of take on that without being too much. Like, it gives you a little bit of that tobacco, but it's just not overpowering. So I would really love to just finish this up, have this still displayed on my shelf of fragrances, but finished and have like a moment of time with this. So that way I can roll in another fragrance and have a moment of time with that. I do like mixing and matching my fragrances, but there's also something to be said of like smelling a fragrance and remembering that time in your life. So I think I will be sticking a little bit more to one fragrance at a time to kind of have that. I've loved Dolce & Gabbana fragrances in the past. The one line has been a pretty popular line from them for some time. They just kind of do a remake on it. And I've had different ones from them over time. I remember one of my very first high-end fragrances that I purchased was the Dolce & Gabbana, and it was the Rose the One fragrance, which was their rose take on the One fragrance, which was a really popular one. I think maybe they still even make that fragrance. The Rose the One, though, is now like a highly sought after. If you want to buy it, because it was limited edition, I've looked into it. It's like $300 because I thought about having it for my collection, because once I finished it, I got rid of that bottle, and I highly, highly regret it because it holds good memories, being that it was my very first luxury fragrance that I purchased. So in the past, I've loved all Dolce & Gabbana fragrances that I've tried. I would really love to try, I have on my list to try the new Devotion one, but it's going to be a minute before I purchase that, I think. Anyways, that is my update for my Project Pan. Let me know down below if you're also doing Project Pan. I always ask that in every update because I like to follow along and support all my fellow panners. I think it's really important to continue to motivate each other. But after that, this is where I'm going to leave you all. I hope you're having a great one, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.